The day we found ourselves in the ruins of tomorrow. The sun rose that morning like it had always done, soft and gentle over the quiet hills, painting the sky with pale gold. No one in our town knew that the world we had known would end in just a few hours. No one felt the warning. No one saw the signs. It was simply a normal day that carried a secret inside it, a secret that waited to break everything open. I was standing outside my house, tying my boots, when I first heard the strange hum. It was low, steady, almost like the sound of electricity, but deeper. At first, I thought it came from the power lines. But then the sound grew louder, spreading across the entire sky. Birds stopped mid-flight. Dogs began barking. My younger sister, Alina, stepped outside and looked up. "Is it a storm?" she asked. "I don't think so," I replied. The sky was clear, too clear. A wide blue emptiness that felt unnatural, as if something had removed all the clouds. I stepped into the street. People around the town were doing the same. Windows opened. Doors swung out. Everyone was staring at the sky. Then the hum stopped. Silence followed, thick and heavy. It lasted only 1 second. And then the world shook. It was not an earthquake. The ground did not crack. The buildings did not crumble. But everything flickered, like someone had turned reality into a failing light bulb. For a moment, the houses, the trees, even the people looked like shadows trembling in a broken reflection. The sky turned white, as if the sun had exploded without fire. My vision blurred. Alina grabbed my arm. "What's happening?" she screamed. But I couldn't answer. I didn't know. Then everything snapped back. The colors returned. The shapes stopped flickering. The hum faded fully. People looked at one another, confused, frightened. No one understood what we had just seen. That was when the sirens began. They came from everywhere, from phones, from radios, from the old alarm system the town hadn't used in decades. A robotic voice echoed from every device. "Temporal breach detected. Seek shelter immediately. This is not a drill." Temporal breach. Time itself had broken. Alina clutched my sleeve. "What does that mean?" "I don't know," I said. "But we have to go." We ran back into the house. My mother was already packing a small bag with water bottles, blankets, and the emergency kit she always kept under the bed. My father stood frozen near the window, staring at the sky that still shimmered faintly around the edges, like a cracked mirror. "What do we do?" I asked. He shook his head. The announcement, it came from the government. Or something pretending to be the government. I've never heard anything like it. The sirens repeated the same message again. The words temporal breach pressed into our ears like cold fingers. We grabbed our things and left the house. Outside, the street was full of people. Some crying, some confused, some shouting prayers. The town's only safe shelter was the underground community bunker, built long ago but rarely used. Everyone ran in that direction. But halfway there, everything changed again. The air rippled. The road in front of us bent like soft rubber. Trees stretched upward as if pulled by invisible hands. A bird flying across the sky froze midair, stuck like a mosquito in amber. And then, everything split. A thin glowing line appeared in the air, right above the road. It grew wider, stretching open like an eye. On the other side was nothing we understood. Ruins. Broken towers. Fallen buildings. A sky filled with gray dust. A dead world, silent and cold. We stared into it, unable to move. "It looks like a city," my mother whispered. "But, destroyed." The tear in the air grew taller, reaching the height of the street lamps. The image inside became clearer. It was not a picture. It was a doorway. A doorway into tomorrow, a future that was already ruined. "Get back," my father shouted. But most of the town was already stunned, barely breathing. Then someone stepped out of the tear. A figure wrapped in metallic armor, its face hidden behind a cracked visor. Its right arm sparked with blue light, as if the person had walked through lightning. The figure stumbled forward, collapsing onto the ground. People screamed. Some ran backward. Some froze. I took a step toward the fallen figure. I couldn't explain why. Curiosity? Fear? Something in me whispered that this stranger mattered. The figure lifted its head slowly. Through the cracked visor, I saw a human eye, exhausted, frightened, determined. "Close, the breach," the stranger whispered, voice weak and broken. "They are coming." My heart pounded. "Who's coming?" The strangers shook their head. Not who, what? Behind the stranger, inside the glowing tear, movement began. Shapes shifted in the smoky air. Shadows crawled across the ruined ground. My chest tightened as I tried to understand what I was seeing. The future was not only broken, it was alive with things that did not belong in any world. The tear widened again, as if something on the other side was pushing through. The stranger reached toward me, gripping my arm with a cold metal hand. You have to run, they said. The future is falling into the present. A loud cracking sound echoed through the air. The tear stretched wider, its edges snapping like stretched glass. The shadows inside multiplied, growing taller, sharper, more monstrous. Alina grabbed my hand. We have to go now. My parents pulled us back. People began screaming again as another tear opened above the rooftops. And another near the school. And another by the river. Dozens of doors into tomorrow, into a ruined, dying future, had burst open across our town. The world was breaking faster than we could understand. The sky dimmed. The ground shook again. And the voice from everywhere repeated. Temporal collapse in progress. Evacuate. 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 The stranger tried to stand but fell again. It's too late, they whispered. Time has already drowned. I looked at the sky, at the tears, at the ruined future spilling into our world. And that was the moment I realized. We were not witnessing the end of the world. We were witnessing the day tomorrow came to destroy today. Chaos exploded through the town. People were running in every direction, scattering like frightened birds. The air shook with the sound of alarms, screams, and the strange electric crackle rising from the open tears in the sky. My mother grabbed Alina's wrist. My father held my shoulder tightly. We're going to the bunker, he said. No stopping. No looking back. But I did look back. The stranger who had fallen from the tear struggled to lift their head again. Sparks flickered along the cracks in their armor. Their visor shifted, revealing more of their face, young, tired, covered in scars that didn't look like anything from our world. Something inside me refused to leave them behind. I have to help them, I said. No, my father snapped. We don't know who that is. We don't even know if they are human. They are hurt, I insisted. They warned us. My father hesitated. The sky above us pulsed again, as if lightning was trapped in the clouds but trying desperately to escape. Another tear opened across the street, bigger than the last. A piece of the future, a broken lamp post from a ruined world, fell through and crashed onto the road. Time itself was bleeding. Finally, my father let go of me. Fine, he said. But quickly. I ran toward the stranger. Alina shouted after me, but her voice was lost beneath the growing roar from the tears. The stranger looked up as I knelt beside them. You shouldn't have come back, they whispered. Too late, I said. Can you stand? Not for long. I slipped my arm under theirs and helped them up. Their armor was cold, colder than metal should be. As we moved back toward my family, the stranger's knees buckled again. They raised one hand, pointing at the nearest tear. A long, thin shadow was crawling out from it, dragging itself like a creature learning how to walk. What are those things? I asked, my voice shaking. They are called echoes, the stranger whispered. Remnants of a world that failed. I didn't understand. Everything the stranger said felt like a puzzle missing half its pieces. We reached my parents, who stared at the stranger with fear and suspicion. Who are you? My mother asked sharply. The stranger tried to speak, but their voice cracked. They coughed, sparks flickering across their chest plate. My name is Kale. Kale. A strange name, but human enough. My father stared at the armor. Are you a soldier? Kale shook their head weakly. Not anymore. From behind us, a chilling sound echoed, something between a screech and a broken note. The shadow creature emerging from the tear had grown taller. It had no face, only a shifting shape, like flowing smoke trapped inside a human outline. Alina grabbed my arm. We have to go. Kale's eyes widened behind their cracked visor. If the echoes stabilize here, your world ends like mine. We're trying to get to the bunker, I said. Will it keep us safe? A bunker won't protect you from time collapsing. My heart stopped. Another tear tore open near the old town clock tower. The tower flickered, then disappeared, replaced by the charred beams of a ruined future version of itself. People screamed and ducked as the debris fell. Every tear was not just a window. It was a replacement. The future was overwriting the present. Kale tugged my sleeve weakly. Listen to me, we have to get off the streets. The echoes hunt movement. That was all my father needed to hear. Move, he shouted. We pushed through the panicked crowd, with Kale leaning heavily on me. The bunker entrance was still far. Too far. Halfway across the town square, the ground flickered again. A cold wind rushed through the air, not natural wind, but something empty and hollow, as if blown from a place that had no life left in it. The shadows from the tiers stretched across the ground, reaching for the people who ran past them. Kale pointed toward the library. There, they said. We can hide inside. The library was close, just across the square. The windows shook as another tier opened above it. My parents didn't argue. We rushed toward the building, nearly tripping over bricks and broken glass. Once inside, my father slammed the heavy wooden doors shut. The noise outside grew louder. Echoes moved across the square, their shapes shifting and twisting, searching for anything that was still alive. Inside, the library was dim and cold. The emergency lights flickered. We lowered Kale onto a table. They leaned back, breathing heavily. What's happening to our world? Alina whispered, trembling. Kale removed their cracked visor. Their face was pale, streaked with dust and blackened marks. The future is broken, they said. And now it's spilling into your time. Why? I asked. How did this happen? Kale hesitated. The scientists in my world tried to fix time. They wanted to erase the disasters that destroyed everything. They created machines to rewrite the past. My father frowned. Time travel. No, Kale said. Time collapse. They forced the timeline open. They tried to pull the past toward the future and merge them. That sounds insane, my mother whispered. They thought they could rebuild everything. But instead, they tore reality apart. The timeline shattered. Our world became nothing but pockets of ruins drifting in the dark. And the echoes, they grew out of what was left. Alina's voice shook as she asked, but why are the tears appearing here? Kale looked at us with tired eyes. Because your time is next. Silence filled the library like a weight. I felt my chest tighten. There has to be a way to stop it. There was, Kale said. We had a device, one chance to close the tears from the other side. I used it, but something went wrong. It threw me back into your time, and it didn't close the breaches. So the tears will just keep multiplying, my father asked. Kale nodded weakly. Until your world looks like mine. Outside, something slammed against the library doors. A long, scraping sound followed. An echo had found us. Kale's eyes widened. We have to move. Echoes can break through weak structures. My mother clutched her bag. My father grabbed a long metal rod from the shelf. I swallowed hard. Where do we go? Kale looked up at us, their expression grim. I need to get back to the central tear, the first one. If I can reach it, I might still be able to shut everything down. But the echoes, Alina whispered. They'll come no matter where we go, Kale said. We either face them now, or watch the world end. A deep thud echoed through the doors. Time was running out. The library doors shook again, harder this time. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. Somewhere near the back shelves, a book slid off and hit the ground with a soft thud. That tiny sound felt louder than thunder. Kale tried to stand but collapsed back onto the table, gripping the edges tightly. You're injured, my mother said. You can't walk. Kale took a shaky breath. I'll walk. I don't have a choice. My father peered out the window, staying low. His face tightened. There are 3 echoes outside. Maybe more. Their dark shapes drifted around the square, moving like living smoke, flickering in and out of form. They didn't walk. They floated in short movements, sensing, searching, drawing closer to the library with each shift. Alina hid behind my mother, trembling. We have to leave, Kale said. Now. But where do we go? I asked. To the origin point, Kale replied. The first tear that opened. The breach by the road. That tear is the most unstable. If we can reach it, I might have enough power left to disrupt the collapse. My father frowned. You said you used your device. It failed. What makes you think it will work now? Kale sighed. I didn't say it failed. I said something went wrong. And what does that mean? I pressed. Kale looked at me with tired eyes. The device wasn't supposed to throw me backward in time. It was supposed to anchor me between the layers of the timeline. But the collapse was too strong. It broke the anchor, sent me here, and left the device burned out. Burned out. Unusable. My father shook his head. Then how do you plan to stop the tears? Kale raised their hand weakly. Electricity sparked across their fingertips. Your time's energy is still stable. If I get close enough to the origin tear, my suit can draw from this timeline, just enough to trigger a shutdown. Maybe. Maybe. Alina whispered, horrified. Kale gave a faint, sad smile. When time collapses, you don't get promises. You get chances. The pounding at the doors grew more violent. The echoes were testing the structure, learning its weakness. They are getting stronger, Kale said. My father tightened his grip on the metal rod. Then we move now. Kale managed to stand with our help. I moved under their arm to support them again, feeling the cold hum of their armor vibrating faintly through me. The back door of the library led to a narrow alley behind the building. If the echoes were at the front, the back might still be clear. My father motioned for us to follow quietly. Alina held my mother's hand. Kale leaned heavily on me. Every few steps, sparks popped from the joints of their armor. When my father opened the back door, a gust of cold air rushed in, not normal cold, but the kind that chilled through the bones, like walking into a forgotten room of time itself. We stepped out. The alley was empty, but strange distortions shimmered above the pavement, small flickers, like ripples in glass. Little pockets of time bending out of shape. Alina clutched my mother. What if another tear opens here? It won't, Kale said softly. Not yet. Tears form where the timeline is weakest. For now, the weakest places are where the breaches already exist. Comforting, my father muttered. We moved down the alley, keeping low and quiet. The entire town sounded like it was being slowly unstitched, cracks of energy, distant screams, the awful roar of the largest tear near the old clock tower. Everything we knew was becoming thinner. Fragile. As we reached the main street, my breath caught in my throat. The road had changed. Half of it was normal asphalt. The other half was broken, dusty, covered in debris that didn't belong in our world. Burned metal, cracked pavement, pieces of buildings from Kale's dead future. The collapse was accelerating. The future was merging with the present. Kale inhaled sharply. We're running out of time. We hurried forward, staying close to the intact side of the road. The origin tear was a few blocks ahead, near the bend that led to the outskirts of town. But we weren't alone. Two echoes drifted near the intersection. Shifting. Searching. Their forms twisted like smoke trapped in invisible containers. Their heads tilted without faces. Their limbs snapped in and out of shape. They moved without sound. Kale tensed. Don't move quickly. They detect motion more than sound. So we just walk, my father whispered. Slow, Kale replied. Steady. We stepped onto the broken part of the road, moving as quietly and slowly as possible. My heart pounded so loudly I wondered if the echoes could hear it. One of the creatures paused. Its shadowy form turned slightly toward us. Its body wavered, stretching longer, thinner. My breath froze in my chest. Keep going, Kale whispered. We did. Inch by inch. The echo floated closer. It hovered just a few meters away. Its form quivered like it sensed something it couldn't see clearly. Then, a loud crash echoed from behind us, somewhere far down the street. The echo snapped toward the sound instantly and drifted away. Alina exhaled shakily. Something else is out there. Yes, Kale whispered, voice tight. Not everything that crossed through the tears is an echo. My father swallowed. That's supposed to make us feel better. Kale didn't answer. Finally, we reached the bend in the road. And there it was. The origin tear. It was bigger than before, a massive split in the air, stretching almost 2 stories high. The edges were raw and jagged, glowing violently as if the tear was forced open by some invisible pressure. Inside it was the same devastated future we had glimpsed earlier, crumbling buildings, gray skies, twisted metal. The air around it crackled with unstable energy. The ground shook softly beneath our feet. Kale steadied themselves, pulling away from me. Their armor hummed louder, gathering what little strength remained. I need to get close, they said. Very close. My mother grabbed their arm. Is it safe? No. Kale pulled away gently. But it's the only way. The tear pulsed. A shockwave rippled outward, knocking dust and leaves into the air. Alina stumbled. I grabbed her before she fell. Kale took a slow step forward. You all need to stay back, they said. No, I said immediately. We're not leaving you. Kale turned. Their eyes were tired, but grateful. You already saved my life. This part, I have to do alone. I shook my head. You can barely stand. Another pulse burst from the tear. The sky flickered again. The road cracked down the middle. Kale winced. I have enough strength for one attempt. If I can stabilize the breach point, I can trigger the shutdown reaction. And if you can't? Alina whispered. Kale looked at us with a calm we didn't understand. Then the future finishes what it started. They took another step. And then, a shape moved inside the tear. Something larger than an echo. Something solid. Something walking toward us. Kale froze. My father whispered, What is that? Kale's voice trembled for the first time. That is not supposed to be here. The shape drew closer. Heavy footsteps shook the ground on the other side of the tear. The ruins behind it crumbled as it pushed forward. Kale stepped backward in fear. It's a Titan echo, they whispered. A creature formed from the collapse of entire cities. If it crosses into your world. They didn't finish the sentence. They didn't have to. Because the Titan echo took another step. And the tear widened, the tear pulsed with a violent burst of light, and the ground trembled beneath us. The massive shadow inside the breach moved closer, slow, thunderous, heavy. Each step sounded like metal collapsing onto stone, echoing from a world already broken. Kale stepped back, their armor crackling with panic. A Titan echo, they whispered. I never thought one would reach this far. Alina grabbed my hand so tightly it hurt. My mother's voice trembled as she said, What is that thing? Kale took a shaky breath. When cities collapsed in my timeline, the destruction didn't just break buildings. It broke the memories of the people who lived in them. All those memories, fear, loss, everything, merged into something massive. Something hungry. My father stared at the widening tear. And that thing is made of memories. Kale nodded. Memories twisted by the collapse. Echoes of entire civilizations. The Titan's distorted shape pushed closer to the threshold. We couldn't see it fully yet, only the enormous outline in the gray smoke, glowing lines where its body pulsed with broken time. It was easily 3 times the size of a building. Its limbs didn't move normally, they snapped forward like giant shards of glass. We need to run, Alina whispered. No, Kale said sharply. If we run, the Titan will follow our movement. It detects motion even more aggressively than smaller echoes. So we just stay here, my father asked. And wait to be crushed. Kale hesitated, breathing heavily. I can still shut the tear. But not with that creature standing in the breach. The Titan's massive arm pushed against the edge of the tear, warping the glowing boundary like melting metal. We do not have long, Kale said. The ground vibrated as the Titan leaned forward. Bits of the ruined future spilled out, chunks of shattered concrete, rusted metal beams, ash that drifted into our world like snow. I could barely speak. Kale, what do we do? Kale clenched their jaw. There's only one way to delay it. What way? My mother pressed. Kale looked down at their trembling hands. We have to destabilize the Titan's form before it completes the transition. My father raised an eyebrow. Meaning? We attack it. Silence fell over us. My mother shook her head sharply. Are you out of your mind? We can't fight that thing. We cannot destroy it, Kale said. But we can disrupt it. Enough to slow it down for a few seconds. A few seconds. Alina gasped. What good is that? Kale's eyes hardened. A few seconds is all I need to shut the breach. A massive hand, if it could be called a hand, pressed against the edge of the tear. The fingers were long, jagged, made of flickering lines of broken reality. When they touched the boundary of the tear, the air around us rippled violently. My knees buckled. Kale steadied themselves. Spread out. Don't move unless I tell you. They raised their arm. Electricity surged through the armor, lighting up the cracks with blue energy. Sparks shot from the joints. Kale staggered, but stayed upright. You're barely standing, I said. You can't fight that thing. I don't need to win, Kale replied. I just need to make it hesitate.
Then Kale turned their head and looked at me. Really looked. Their voice softened.
I'm sorry. I didn't want your world to be another ruin.
I swallowed hard.
Then let us help. My father stepped forward, gripping the metal rod tighter. My mother grabbed a large piece of broken metal from the ground. Alina took a deep breath, picking up a shard of fallen concrete, her small hand shaking.
Kale stared at us in disbelief. I can't let you.
We're not asking for permission, my father said. Kale's mouth tightened, then they nodded. The Titan pushed harder. A wave of grey ash flooded through the tear, scattering across the road. The Titan's massive silhouette became clearer, towering, deformed, shifting between shapes like it was made of every destroyed building and every lost ghost from Kale's world. Its head twisted unnaturally, as if searching for something to devour.
Kale raised their arm.
When I say move, throw anything you can at its face. Aim for the brightest part. The bright part.
Alina whispered. Kale pointed. Its core. We all stared.
Deep inside the Titan's massive chest, a bright, pulsing light glowed, flickering like a dying star. Every time it pulsed, the entire Titan shuddered. That's its anchor, Kale explained. Hit it, and the Titan loses form for a moment. The Titan's huge legs stepped forward. The ground split under its weight. Kale took a deep breath.
Their armor hummed violently. They lifted both hands toward the tear.
Everyone ready?
Kale shouted. We nodded.
Kale screamed, move. A burst of crackling blue energy shot from their hands and slammed into the Titan's chest. The creature let out a sound, if it could be called a sound, a deep, broken echo that rattled every bone in my body. At the same time, we threw everything we had.
The metal rod. The broken metal piece. The concrete shard. Even loose stones from the ground.
Everything flew at the Titan. One piece hit the glowing core. The Titan shuddered. Its form flickered, once, twice, like a massive glitch in reality.
Its head snapped backward.
The boundaries of the tear rippled wildly, glowing brighter as the Titan momentarily lost its stability. Kale fell to their knees, exhausted. It's now, they shouted. I need to reach the boundary. But before they could stand, the Titan stabilized again, much faster than Kale expected. It roared, a low, hollow sound that made the air vibrate painfully. Then it pushed harder. Two enormous arms emerged through the tear.
It was crossing over.
Kale's face turned pale with fear. It's too fast. I can't stop it if it fully enters your timeline. We won't let that happen,
I said.
But my words were drowned out by a new, horrifying sound. The sound of another tear opening behind us. This one wasn't small. It didn't flicker. It didn't hum.
It ripped open like the sky was being torn apart. Alina screamed. My mother froze. My father pulled her back. And through the new tear, something stepped out. Not an echo. Not a Titan. Something shaped like a person. Tall. Silent.
Glowing faintly with blue and white threads of energy. Kale turned around, eyes widening in absolute shock. No, that's impossible. The figure stepped forward, lifting its head slightly. And in a calm, distorted voice, it said, Kale, you should not be here. Kale staggered back, their breath caught in their throat. Run, Kale whispered to us. All of you. I looked between Kale and the glowing figure.
Why? I asked. Kale's voice cracked.
Because that is me, from the future that shouldn't exist.
None of us moved.
The new figure stepping out of the tear wasn't an echo. It didn't flicker like smoke or twist like shifting shadows. It had a solid shape, humanoid, tall, and wrapped in faint glowing lines that pulsed like circuitry running under the skin.
It looked almost human. Almost.
But the face. The face was Kale's.
Older. Hardened.
Eyes pale and colorless, as if drained by years of staring into a dying world. Kale, the Kale we had been helping, took one step back, breathing fast and uneven. No, you're not real, Kale whispered. You can't be here. The older Kale tilted their head slightly, studying us with an expression that was unreadable. You were not meant to survive the collapse, the older one said.
Yet here you stand.
A fragment out of place.
My father stepped in front of us protectively. Who are you?
Older Kale didn't look at him.
They only looked at Kale.
I am what you become, the older one said. After everything is lost.
Kale's hands shook.
That timeline was erased. It was supposed to be erased.
But it wasn't, the older one replied.
Not completely. Behind us, the Titan Echo roared again, pushing farther through the breach. Its enormous arm crashed onto the ground, crushing a section of road beneath it.
The shockwave nearly knocked us over.
Kale stumbled, but the older Kale didn't budge. You brought them here, Kale said angrily. You led the Titan to this time.
Older Kale shook their head slowly.
The Titan follows collapse.
It is drawn to instability.
You did that when you tried to fix the past.
You think I don't know that? Kale snapped.
The ground trembled again as the Titan pushed harder. But the older Kale still ignored it. Their hollow, pale eyes fixed on Kale with something between pity and disappointment. You are clinging to a timeline that cannot be saved, the older one said. This world will fall just like ours did. My mother stepped forward, fear turning into anger.
No. You don't get to say that.
We won't let our world end. Finally, the older Kale looked at her. You cannot stop what has already begun.
We can try, my father said. Older Kale shook their head slowly.
Your future is already written. Kale stepped between us and their future self.
No.
That's what you think. That's why your world died, because you accepted the end. For the first time, the older Kale's expression tightened.
Not anger. Not fear. Pain.
You don't understand what we lost, the older one said softly. You were not there when the last fragments of time fell apart.
You did not watch cities dissolve into dust.
You did not hear the silence when the last voices faded.
Kale clenched their fists. And you don't know what we can still save. Another roar shook the ground.
The Titans had appeared through the tear, huge, cracked, glowing faintly as its core pulsed like a dying heart. Kale turned sharply toward the Titan. We need to close the breach now, they said. Help us or get out of the way. But the older Kale didn't move. Instead, they lifted a hand, and the glow around their body brightened. Don't, Kale warned. Don't interfere. I cannot let you repeat the same mistake, the older one said. Then the older Kale pointed directly at the Titan. Blue-white energy shot from their fingertips. But they weren't trying to stop the Titan. They were trying to pull it through faster. Kale cried out, No. The Titan lurched forward violently, its massive torso ripping through the tear with a surge of broken energy. The boundaries of the breach expanded like a balloon about to burst. The older Kale lowered their hand calmly. If the Titan anchors this timeline, they said, the collapse will complete quickly. No one will suffer as long. My father's eyes widened. You want to destroy our world. The older Kale didn't even blink. This world is already lost. A clean end is a mercy. No. Alina screamed. You can't do that. Kale pushed themselves in front of the older version. How can you say that? We swore we'd never let another world die. Older Kale looked at them with hollow sadness. We made that promise, they said. And we failed. Kale's voice broke. But I'm still here. I can still try. The Titan took another crushing step forward, now halfway into our world. Its glowing core pulsed rapidly. The ground cracked beneath its enormous weight, sending fissures shooting across the road like lightning. We don't have time, Kale said. If the Titan fully crosses, the collapse will be unstoppable. I stepped closer. Kale, what do you need? Kale looked at me, desperation in their eyes. I need to get to the breach. I need to be right at the boundary to shut it down. My father gripped the metal rod. We'll give you cover. My mother took Alina's hand. We'll protect you. Kale nodded, trembling. But the older Kale stepped forward and extended a glowing hand toward them. You will not make it, the older one said. You will die like we did. Kale clenched their jaw. Then I'll die trying. The older Kale paused. Something flickered in their pale eyes, something almost like regret. Do not force me to stop you, the older one said quietly. Kale didn't hesitate. I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of becoming you. The older Kale froze in place, as if the words had pierced some forgotten part of them. The Titan roared again, shaking the ground violently. Cracks spread through the air around the tear. The sky shimmered, bending like warped glass. We need to decide, my father said. Right now. Kale turned to him. Help me reach the breach. I nodded instantly. We're with you.
My mother stepped forward.
All of us. The older Kale looked at us with something unreadable. You are choosing a doomed path, they said.
Kale met their gaze. No.
I'm choosing a different one. For a moment, everything went silent.
Then the older Kale lowered their head.
Very well. We waited, breathless.
But the older Kale lifted their hand again.
And instead of stepping aside, they prepared to fight us.
The hum of their energy grew louder.
Their eyes glowed brighter. And in a low, trembling voice, they said,
If you insist on saving this world,
I will stop you myself. The ride into the heart of the ruins of tomorrow felt unreal. The magnetic platform slid smoothly along the glowing rails, carrying Myra, Kaelin, Orin, Lyra, and me toward the old capital, Solmir, the city that once shaped the world. None of us spoke for several minutes. We were too busy trying to understand everything we had seen. The children in the underground dome.
The machines learning emotions.
The truth about the memory wells. And the terrifying knowledge that the world was not broken by accident, but by choice.
Finally, Myra broke the silence.
We have to warn the surface settlements, she said.
They think the collapse was natural. They think the future was lost. But it wasn't lost.
It was abandoned. Kaelin nodded. And whoever abandoned it might still be out there.
Orin gripped the railing.
Or coming back. Lyra looked pale.
So what do we do?
Save the world. We're not heroes. We're not even trained for this.
I sighed.
We don't have to save the world. We just need to understand what happened and make sure it doesn't happen again.
The platform slowed and finally stopped. We had arrived.
Solmir stood silent and huge before us, like a sleeping giant. Towers of broken glass and steel rose into the dark clouds. Roads were split open like old scars. The air shimmered with drifting sparks of old holograms, fragments of light repeating forgotten advertisements, broken announcements, pieces of conversations lost in time. It was beautiful in a sad way. The buildings seemed to breathe with memory. As we walked forward, a hologram suddenly flickered alive beside us, a woman smiling, holding a bright blue device. Welcome to Solmir, the city of tomorrow, it declared cheerfully. Then it glitched.
Her smile froze. The image cracked. Then disappeared.
Myra whispered, even the ghosts here are broken.
We moved deeper into the city.
Every step made us feel smaller. Our destination sat at the center of Solmir, a massive circular building with tall pillars and a collapsed dome. This was the council hall, where the leaders of the world made the final decisions before the collapse.
We entered cautiously.
Inside, the air was still. Dust floated in beams of light shining through broken sections of the ceiling. Around us were huge cracked screens, tables covered in old papers, and chairs still arranged in a circle, like people had left in a hurry. At the center of the hall stood a tall pedestal with a dormant holographic projector. Orin tried to activate it, but nothing happened.
Kaelin looked around. There has to be a backup power system.
This place was meant to survive anything.
Lyra spotted something at the edge of the room. There.
A manual activation port.
We gathered around it. It was a small panel with a faint glow. I reached out and touched it.
The room hummed. The lights flickered to life, one by one. Then the holographic projector at the center activated with a burst of static.
A figure slowly appeared.
He was tall, wearing a long coat, with tired eyes and streaks of silver in his hair.
He looked like someone who had not slept in months.
If you are seeing this, his recorded voice said, then the world ended exactly as we feared it would.
We froze.
Myra whispered, this must be a high-ranking leader.
He continued.
The collapse was not caused by war, disease, or environmental failure. It was caused by us, the Council. We made a choice, one we believed would protect humanity.
We looked at each other in shock. Project Eclipse was our final solution, he said. We saw the world consuming itself.
Technology had grown faster than our morality. AI governed entire nations. People surrendered their freedom for convenience. We feared a future where humanity became obsolete. So we chose to reset the world.
Orin stepped back.
They destroyed the world on purpose.
The man's hologram nodded.
We shut down every major system. Energy grids.
Satellites.
Climate centers.
AI cores.
We brought everything back to zero, hoping humanity would rebuild smarter.
His voice cracked.
But we were wrong. He leaned forward, looking directly into the recorder. The world fell into chaos.
Billions were lost.
And the council, we were too ashamed to admit our mistake.
Lyra wiped tears from her eyes. The man's voice dropped to a whisper. If you are alive now, then you are the future we hoped for.
But beware, Project Eclipse was not our only creation. We built safeguards, machines, weapons, things meant to protect humanity in the reset world. Some may still be active.
Kalen clenched his jaw.
So the Guardian in the dome was just one of many.
The hologram continued. If you wish to restore the world, head to the core tower in the city's heart.
There lies the final truth, the place where the reset began.
The recording ended.
Silence filled the hall. Restore the world.
Myra whispered. What does that mean? Restart the old systems? Bring back the past they destroyed? Orin frowned.
Do we even have the right to do that?
Kalen clenched his fists.
What else can we do? Live in ruins forever.
Lyra shook her head.
What if restoring the past brings back the same mistakes?
They all turned to me.
What do you think?
Myra asked softly. I hesitated. The truth was heavy.
I think, I said slowly, that the past ended for a reason.
But the present is dying too.
We can't move forward without knowing the whole truth. I pointed toward the window where the core tower's silhouette rose in the distance, a dark spear against the sky.
We go to the tower, I said.
And whatever the truth is, we face it.
The others nodded. The decision was made.
We gathered our supplies and stepped out of the council hall. The wind howled across the broken city, carrying distant echoes of memories.
Tomorrow was waiting.
But it would not wait forever. The core tower stood like a giant needle piercing the sky.
Black metal. Silent windows.
A monument to a future that never arrived.
It was the tallest structure in Solmir, once the center of all global systems.
Every decision, every satellite, every artificial sun, every defense shield, everything flowed through this tower.
Now it was dead. Or so we thought.
As we made our way toward the tower, the city around us seemed to change.
The ruins were quieter here. No flickering holograms. No broken drones. No drifting memories. Just stillness. Almost like the city was holding its breath.
Myra kept glancing behind us. Anyone else feel like we're being watched?
Kalen nodded. Not watched. Scanned.
There's a difference. Orin ran her hand along the cracked metal of a fallen street sign. If this place was the center of everything, maybe the security is still active.
Security. Lyra repeated nervously.
Like defense systems. Before anyone could answer, a low hum filled the air.
We all froze.
A sleek metal sphere the size of a human head floated around the corner.
A single blue eye glowed at its center. A sentinel drone.
But unlike the broken ones we saw before, this one was fully functional. It scanned each of us, projecting faint beams of blue light across our faces. Then, surprisingly, it spoke. Identities unknown. Threat level, low.
It hovered silently for a moment. Then it said, proceed to the core.
You are expected.
And it floated away. We stared after it, speechless.
Expected.
Lyra whispered.
By who?
Nobody answered. We continued walking.
When we finally reached the core tower, we found the entrance wide open, doors cracked but functional, glowing faintly with an old energy source. It felt like an invitation.
Or trap.
Myra touched the surface of the door.
There's heat. The tower is not dead. We stepped inside.
The lobby was enormous, filled with shattered glass and long-dead screens, but some light still pulsed along the walls, like a heartbeat.
Kalen walked toward the central console.
Let me check power levels.
Orin looked around. No dust here. No decay.
Someone, or something, has kept this place clean.
Lyra swallowed.
Maybe the council left survivors.
I moved toward the elevator shaft.
A single elevator was waiting, doors open, lights on.
Too convenient. Too ready.
I turned to the others.
We don't have another way up.
Are we ready?
They nodded, one by one. We stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. It began to rise. Floor after floor passed by.
We glimpsed rooms filled with old supercomputers. Laboratories frozen in time. Conference halls covered in dust.
Dark corridors stretching endlessly. Each floor was a piece of a forgotten world.
And as we rose higher, the lights grew brighter.
Orin leaned against the wall.
If the council wanted to reset the world, why build a tower this massive? What was the real purpose?
Kaelin answered quietly. To control everything.
Even the reset itself.
Suddenly the elevator slowed.
Then stopped.
A soft chime rang. The doors opened.
We stepped out into a vast, circular chamber. The core chamber was breathtaking. At the center of the room floated a massive sphere of light and machinery, layers of shining rings, gears, circuits, and glowing data streams spinning slowly like a mechanical sun.
The core nexus. The brain of the old world.
The power source behind Project Eclipse.
The machine that erased the future.
Myra whispered, "It's beautiful."
Kaelin shook his head.
"It's terrifying." Then someone spoke from behind the nexus. "Both of you are right."
We spun around.
A woman stepped into view. She wore a long white coat with shattered digital patterns across it. Her hair was silver, tied back tightly. Her eyes glowed faintly, enhanced, not natural. She looked human.
But not entirely.
Who are you?"
Orin stammered. The woman smiled gently. "My name is Alina," she said.
"I was the last member of the World Council. And the first of the synthetic minds."
We stared in disbelief.
"You're an AI?"
Kaelin managed to ask. She nodded. Part human. Part machine.
Created to oversee humanity's transition into the post-collapse world.
Lyra stepped forward cautiously. "You knew we were coming."
"The drone said we were expected."
"Yes,"
Alina replied. "Because the world has been waiting for you."
I frowned.
"Waiting for us to do what?"
Alina walked toward the core nexus. "To make a choice," she said.
"The same choice the council faced. But this time, the world will accept your answer." Alina raised her hand, and the core nexus responded, rings spinning, lights brightening, data streams flowing like rivers of light.
"The nexus holds everything," she said.
"The entire memory of the old world.
All its technology. All its systems. All its failures.
All its hopes."
She turned to us.
"You can restore it."
The room fell silent.
"You can bring back the satellites, the climate engines, the energy networks, the teaching machines, the healing towers. You can rebuild the world exactly as it was before the collapse."
"Oh." She touched the glowing sphere.
"You can erase it forever."
Lyra gasped.
"Erase everything? Even the history?"
Alina nodded slowly. "Yes. A true new beginning. No machines. No remnants. No shadows of the past."
Orin whispered. "But the children in the dome, what happens to them?"
"Nothing," Alina said gently. "They will keep living. They will grow. They will adapt.
Humanity will survive. But without the burdens of the past." Kaelin clenched his fists. "So we choose between restoring a broken world, or abandoning its memory forever."
Alina's voice softened. "This is not just your decision. It is humanity's." Then she turned to me. "You will decide. You have seen the ruins. You have seen the survivors. You have seen the truth.
Now you must choose the future."
My heart pounded.
The room felt heavy with time itself. Myra touched my shoulder. "Whatever you choose, we're with you." I looked at the glowing core nexus.
2 futures. 1 decision. 1 moment to define tomorrow. And I knew.
This was only the beginning. Alina's words echoed through the core chamber. "You will decide the future." The core nexus pulsed softly, as if waiting for my answer.
A living memory. A sleeping world. A ghost of tomorrow. Everyone looked at me. Myra. Kaelin. Orin. Lyra.
And Alina, the last voice of the council that ruined everything, yet still believed we could fix it.
I swallowed hard. "Why me?" I asked. "Why not them?
Why not you?"
Alina smiled sadly. "Because you are not tied to the old world," she said.
"You are not chained to what was lost or what was built. You carry the past inside you, but you also walk toward the future.
You saw both sides.
That balance is rare."
I didn't feel rare. I felt scared. But I stepped closer to the nexus. The weight of tomorrow. 2 control panels lit up in front of me. 2 simple words.
2 impossible paths. Myra spoke first, her voice steady. "If we restore the systems, we could rebuild.
Faster.
Safer. The old world had mistakes, yes, but it also had wonders."
Kaelin shook his head. And those wonders nearly destroyed us. Those systems were abused. That power was twisted.
A reset might be the only way to truly start over.
Orin looked torn.
The children underground, they deserve a future.
A safe one.
But restoring everything might bring back the same dangers.
Lyra whispered.
Without the systems, rebuilding could take centuries.
People will suffer. Starve. Freeze.
But maybe suffering is safer than power.
I listened. Every word was true. My own thoughts swirled. Restore the world and risk repeating its tragedies.
Erase everything and risk plunging humanity into darkness.
Alina stepped beside me.
Whatever you choose, she said softly, I will accept. My own creators failed because they made the choice in fear.
Do not let fear guide you.
Let truth guide you.
Truth.
What was the truth?
I closed my eyes. And I remembered. The abandoned schools. The empty farms.
The silent machines waiting to be awakened. The children smiling underground, safe but trapped in a world that would never grow unless someone unlocked it.
I opened my eyes.
I choose. The chamber seemed to stop breathing.
I looked at the restore panel. Then at Erase. Then at my friends. And finally at Alina.
I choose neither, I said quietly.
The room froze.
Alina blinked. Neither. Yes, I said. The old world shouldn't return exactly as it was. But the new world must not suffer because of the old world's mistakes either.
Kaylin stepped forward.
So what do we do?
I placed my hand on the nexus.
We restore only what humanity needs to survive.
Not the weapons. Not the global control systems.
Not the machines that replaced our choices.
Myra gasped.
A partial restoration.
Orin smiled slowly. Just the basics. Energy. Water.
Weather stabilization. Medical systems.
Lyra nodded with tears in her eyes.
A future rebuilt with help, not domination.
Alina closed her eyes. Her voice trembled.
Your answer is perfect.
The panels shifted. A new option appeared. Not restore. Not erase. Rebuild. A middle path. A third future. I placed my hand on the glowing word. The nexus responded instantly.
The entire tower trembled.
Lights flared. Screens awakened.
Circuits ignited with streams of golden data.
But the weapon systems stayed dark.
The old laws stayed locked.
The global networks stayed disconnected. Only what humanity needed was reborn.
Only what helped life to grow. When we stepped out of the core tower, the city was glowing.
Not with the cold, artificial shine of the past, but with a soft warmth. The air was clearer. The sky brighter. The broken street lights flickered to life with gentle white light.
Wind turbines on distant rooftops spun again.
Solar panels unfolded like metal flowers after a long winter.
Water systems hummed beneath the ground.
Life returned. Slowly, carefully, kindly.
Myra whispered, we did it.
Kaylin exhaled shakily.
The world has power again.
Orin smiled.
People will survive the winter.
Lyra wiped her eyes.
And the children, they'll grow up in real sunlight.
I looked at the sunrise breaking over the ruins. Tomorrow was here. Not the old tomorrow. Not the broken one. But a new one. A better one.
As we were leaving, Alina appeared beside us one last time.
I will remain here, she said. The Nexus needs a guardian. But I will not interfere again.
Humanity must choose its own future now.
I nodded.
Thank you, for trusting us.
She smiled.
For the first time, I believe the world will not repeat its mistakes.
Then she faded back into the tower. And we walked forward together. We crossed the broken streets with lighter steps. People in the settlements would need to know.
The children in the dome would need guidance.
Communities would start rebuilding. And we would be at the center of that new beginning.
Myra looked at me and said, so, what now?
I smiled.
Now, I said, we start telling the world that tomorrow has returned.
We walked into the rising sun. Not survivors of the past,
but builders of the future. Years later, the ruins of tomorrow were no longer ruins. Solmere had been rebuilt, not as it once was, but as it could be. The city breathed again. Buildings rose slowly, carefully, designed not for control, but for life. Roads wound through parks instead of walls. Water flowed freely. Children's laughter echoed through streets where silence had once reigned. We, the ones who had walked through the collapse, were no longer just survivors. We were guides, teachers, and witnesses of what the world had been and what it could become. Sometimes, at dawn, I would walk to the edge of the rebuilt city and watch the sun rise. The light fell gently on streets that had once been broken, and I remembered everything: the tears in time, the echoes, the titans, the core tower, and the choice we had made. Myra would join me, often carrying a small notebook of maps and ideas for rebuilding settlements. Kaylin focused on engineering, making sure the old systems could help, but never harm. Orin worked with the children, teaching them both science and compassion. Lyra traveled between villages, helping people trust each other again.
And me? I told the story.
The story of the collapse, the ruins, and the chance we were given to rebuild.
Not as rulers. Not as gods. But as people who had seen the end and decided to try again.
Sometimes, in the quiet, I thought of Alizia, the last guardian of the Nexus, the one who had trusted us with the future. I wondered if she watched, from inside the core tower, making sure humanity walked the middle path we had chosen. We had found ourselves in the ruins of tomorrow, but we had also found something more important: a choice.
A chance. A beginning.
And as the sun rose over Solmere, painting the city in gold, I finally understood: tomorrow doesn't belong to the past.
Tomorrow belongs to those who are willing to build it.
And we would build it, together.